Labour's Robodebt Royal Commission. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to look at an article which is talking about Labour's promise for a Robodebt Royal Commission. Now, I think that's a fantastic idea. If we have a look here, over a year ago we looked at videos about just the whole Robodebt mess, guys. And it caused a lot of issues for some people. People were forced to pay money back to Centrelink, which they didn't need to. It's just unfair, and I think it caused a lot of trauma for some people. Some people were at the point where they were ending their life. So it's quite sad. And a Royal Commission is a fantastic idea, how this mess got to this point. Because I know that everyone loves bashing the bludgers in Australia, the dole bludgers, but it's not as big a chunk of change out of the budget as you think. There are other things sucking up the money much more. So is it worth it for the harm? For the potential reward, is it worth it? So let's look at this. Scott Morrison can run his rubbish talking points on the Robodebt scheme before a Royal Commission if Labor is elected, says Government Service spokesman Bill Shorten. But it started with Labor. Has everyone forgotten that? Robodebt started back with Labor, guys. I wonder if they'll get some other former prime ministers to speak as well. So, is Labor here just politicising this terrible outcome? Of course they are. They're all gone, but still. Nevertheless, we should still have a Royal Commission into this. Mr. Shorten says key questions remain unanswered after a $1.2 billion settlement between Robodebt victims and the federal government was reached in 2020. The Robodebt campaign over 4 years was the government going to war with its own people and didn't have the legal authority, he told reporters. The automated matching of tax and Centrelink data to raise debts against welfare recipients for money that the collection claimed to have overpaid was ruled unlawful in 2019. But the government has never detailed who was accountable for the scheme and which ministers knew of its problems. Mr. Morrison was Social Services Minister when it was conceived, but has denied personal responsibility for the disaster. Labor has long called for a Royal Commission into Robodebt, which opposition leader Anthony Albanese describes as a human tragedy wrought by this government. Against all evidence and all the outcry, the government insisted on using algorithms instead of people to pursue debt recovery against Australians who in many cases had no debt to pay. This is the problem. This is the problem when the machines and the algorithms run everything. There's no human interaction. No, there's no human behind it. It caused untold misery. Only an Albanese Labor government will find out the truth. The Australian Council of Social Service is backing the plan, calling it appropriate and proportionate. We need to properly probe the decisions and processes that led to this woeful situation and make sure nothing remotely similar ever happens again, CEO Cassandra Goldie said. We also need to probe the underlying thinking. The Royal Commission will be tasked with establishing who was responsible for the scheme, what advice was used in its implementation, and complaints handling processes. It will also look at the cost to taxpayers of the debacle, harm caused, and those targeted. Labor said the Royal Commission has 30 million budgeted against it, and the terms of reference will be in place before Christmas if it forms government in May. The Prime Minister hit back at the proposal, saying the issues had already been addressed. There have been numerous inquiries into this, and there have been court matters which we fully cooperated in, Mr. Morrison said. Almost $750 million in reimbursements have been made by the government, and the changes to the scheme have been put in place. The problems have been addressed. Well, we already have a situation where the government forces money from people every year. Every year, millions of Australians have money forcefully taken away from them by the government. And I don't see Labor, I don't see Liberal, I don't see anyone calling for a Royal Commission into that mess. No one loves taxes. Any inquiry would need to start with the process of income assessment averaging of incomes, which was introduced by the Labour Party. Mr. Morrison said, yes, it would go right back to the Labour Party, which is fine. That's what we want. There's nothing wrong with that. I find it quite hypocritical that a scheme the Labour Party actually introduced for income averaging in assessing people's welfare entitlements that they are now seeking to criticise the government for, he said. The Labour Party do this all the time. They just come out and make those assertions. Well, what's wrong with that? That's what all the politicians do, isn't it? Do you expect pollies to be honest? Mr. Shorten said Australians did not know how this reckless scheme was unleashed. We do not know whether poor legal advice was given or whether legal advice was simply never sought. We do not know if public servants were inappropriately heavied and politicised. And without knowing the true origins, we do not know what safeguards can be put in place to prevent a repeat. Labor will also launch a user audit of the MyGov Government Services digital portal to assess its reliability and functionality. So, what do you reckon, guys? Let's have a talk about this. So, Labor calling for a royal commission into Robodebt. I wonder what that will discover if all the closets opened up. But, yeah, no, I think this is a good idea. We need to actually take this quite seriously. And we need to realise that, well, the power we're giving our government and targeting the most vulnerable Australians is not the best look. What do you think, guys? Are you in favour of this idea from the Labour Party? Would it be enough to sway your vote? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. If you want to support the channel, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband, or call us if you need an architect. Take care, and I'll see you next time. I mean, that Robodebt was just a bloody mess. It really was. And for what? Hopefully at least a royal commission will give us something to refer back to and put safeguards in place. But I can see this mess happening again.